Surface area of rectangular prisms. Rectangular prism. A rectangular prism has 6 sides: the top, the bottom, front, back, left, right. Look at the colored picture. You can see that there's 2 pieces that are the red that have the same size. You have 2 blue pieces and 2 yellow pieces. Those 2 are also the same size. Let's try this example. Roberta is wrapping a gift for her sister's quinceañera. She places it in a box with the measurements shown below. Number 1. What is the area of one face of the box? The area of the face is 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100. So the area of the face is 100. How many faces does the box have? Remember, it has 6 sides. What operations would you use to determine the surface area of the box? You would use multiplication and addition. Surface area of rectangular prism. The surface area of a rectangular prism with the length L, width W, and height is the sum of the areas of the faces. The surface area of a prism is the sum of the areas of its faces. You can determine the surface area by determining the area of the prism's net. Look at the picture below. We have 2 sides, a top and a bottom, and a back and the front that are the same sizes of each one. Let's look at this example and walk through it. Determine the surface area of the rectangular prism by determining the area of the net. Determine the area of each pair of faces. So looking at the blue, you see that we have an area of 6 times 7, which is 42. Remember, we have 2 of those shapes. The green, 8 times 6 is 48. We have 2 of those shapes. The yellow is 8 times 7, which is 56. And that's because these are parallel lines. There's your 7. And here is your 8. And you have 2 of those. You can take the 42 and times it by 2, because there's 2, 48 times it by 2, and 56 and times it by 2, and then you would go and add everything up. Or you can do 48 plus 48, 56 plus 56, 42 plus 42, and that gives you 292. So the surface area is 292 square meters. Determine the surface area of the rectangular prism by determining the area of the net. Let's start off with our green colored shape. We have 2 greens which are rectangles. Our length is 15, and then our height is 10. But remember, we have 2 of those. We need to multiply it by 2. Let's go through and look at our blue. Our blue has a length of 10, a height of 10, and again, there are 2 of those. To the yellow, we have a length of 15, times a height of 10, and we have 2 of those. So let's go through and do our multiplication. The first one, 15 times 10 gives us 150. So 150 times 2 gives us 300. Our next one, 10 times 10 equals 100, times 2 gives us 200. 15 times 10 is 150, times 2 gives us 300. Now we need to add those 3 areas together. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 3 is 8, or 800. And that's inches squared. Determine lateral surface area. You can use a net to determine the lateral surface area of a rectangular prism. The lateral surface area is the sum of the areas of all of its lateral faces. The lateral faces do not include top and bottom faces, or sometimes they're called the bases. Iker is painting his bedroom that measures 12 feet long, 10 feet wide, and 7 feet high. He has a 10-gallon paint that covers about 350 square feet surface. Does he have enough to paint the lateral surface area of his room with 2 coats of paint? Step 1. Determine the lateral surface area. So we're going to find our front and back and right sides. Think about it this way. If you think about a room with your picture, are you painting the ceilings? Are you painting the floors? No, you're painting the walls. So we're taking 2 sides, so we're going to take 12 times 7. So we have our 12 and our 7. And that would gives us 168 for both sides. Then we have our other side of 10 times 7. So that means I'm going to have 10 right here and then times 7. So 10 times 7 times 2 is 140. Add to determine the lateral surface area. The lateral surface area is 168 plus 140 or 308 square feet. Step 2. Determine the total number of square feet he will paint. So we have 308 plus 308 or 616 square feet. Step 3. Divide the total area by the number of square feet the paint will cover. In our problem, it says that 1 gallon will cover 350 square feet. We need 616. So if we buy 1 gallon, that only covers 350. We buy 2 gallons, that will cover up to 700, which is enough. We can't buy a partial gallon of paint, so we have to buy at least 2 gallons of paint. A geode is being sent as a gift. It is packaged in a box that measures 7 inches long, 3 inches wide, and 16 inches tall. What is the surface area of the box? Let's start off by labeling our box. Maybe that will help us and then we can create our net. So it says that we have 7 inches long, 3 inches wide, and then we have 16 inches tall. Look at this piece. We're going to start here. That piece right there, if we found the area of it, is going to be 16 times 3. But we have a second one on the other side, so times 2. (16 times 3 is 48. And then 48 times 2 is 96. So that covers this area right here on both sides. Let's start with our next side. We're going to go ahead and do the bottom and the top. So that means we have 7 times 3, and we have 2 of them, so times 2. 7 times 3 is 21. 21 times 2 is 42. Let's do this piece, which is the front. So we have 7 times 16, because it's tall 16, times the 2, because we have 2 of those pieces, one in the front, one in the back. 7 times 16 is 112. 112 times 2 is 224. Our last step is to go and add them all together. So if I take 224 and add 96 and 42, I get 362. Square inches. Here are your trimies. Determine the lateral area and the surface area of each rectangular prism by determining the area of the shape's net. Pause the video, work them out, and come back and check and see how you did. Our first problem. What I have done is I've gone through and I've laid out the different color pieces. So the first one I started off with is the blue. 2.4 times 2, and then times 2 because there's 2 blues. Next one is the green. 3 times 2.4, then times 2 because again there's 2 green. The yellow, 3 times 2, then times 2 because there's 2. Alright, the blue one equals 9.6. Green is 14.4. Yellow is 12. Now, if we're finding the lateral surface area, so I'm going to put LSA, that means that we're going to add together the blue and the yellow. We don't want the green pieces. So blue is 9.6 plus 12. That gives me 21.6. If I did a total surface area, I would add all 3 of them up. I'm going to put this up top. And that gives me 36. Let's move on to our next one. So, this one's not broken out, but we can pull our pieces kind of like what we did before. So, starting off, I'm going to take my side over here, the 5 and the 6. So I'm doing this piece right here. So that means I'm going to have 5 times 6.5 times 2 because there's 2. My next one, I'm going to go ahead and do my top and bottom, this piece here. I'm going to have 10.25 times 5 times 2. My front face that's facing us, I have 10.25 times 6.5 times 2. So when I multiply our numbers, I get 65, 102.5, 133.25. Now we need to find our lateral surface area. Remember, think of a soup can if this kind of helps you. We don't want the top and the bottom, the circular part of it. We want what's wrapped around it. So it's the same idea here. We're going to take our 65 plus our 133.25. That gives us a lateral surface area of 198.25. Now let's do our total surface area. Total surface area is where you're going to add all 3 of them together. Our total surface area, I'm going to put it on top on the line again. Equals 300.75, and these happen to be feet squared. We wanted to put our measurement on it.